Yeah. Well, she said the same thing.
Welcome to Crazy Horse Memorial and to our home. My name is Ruth Julkowski. I am the wife of the sculptor who started carving the mountain, Korchak. He passed away in 1982, and since then our family, which is 5 sons and 5 daughters, have continued working with a wonderful staff, an amazing crew on the mountain, and the Crazy Horse Memorial Foundation. We are happy to have you here today and want you to know the Crazy Horse story and understand the dream that is coming true here at Crazy Horse.
Welcome to Crazy Horse Memorial, which honors the North American Indian, all tribes. It's a mountain carving and much more. This is how the non-profit memorial will look when completed, a vast educational and cultural center. It'll include the Indian Museum of North America and the University and Medical Training Center for the North American Indian. The focal point is the mountain, where the face of Crazy Horse was completed and unveiled in 1998. That was on the memorial's 50th anniversary, which included the first blast of the second 50 years of progress. Lakota elders picked Crazy Horse for the mountain carving, and they insisted the memorial be located in the Black Hills. The hills are revered by Native people, such as Olympic champion Billy Mills.
Crazy Horse Memorial, I think, it needs to be, it represents 2 things to me. It represents the integrity of our elders who asked Korchak to build a monument honoring one of our chiefs in our sacred Black Hills. And that is a commitment we should never lose sight of. Just as I will never ever lose the feeling, the sacredness of the Black Hills to me. Our elders made a commitment. They went to Korchak to build a monument honoring our people, our way, our culture, our values.
To carve the mountain, the elders picked sculptor Korchak Julkowski, whose physical appearance changed along with the mountain. Following his death in 1982, the project's been continued by his wife Ruth and their large family. In 1939, the sculptor's dramatic marble portrait of Paderewski won first prize at the New York World's Fair. That gave Chief Standing Bear and his fellow chiefs the idea to invite Korchak to the Black Hills.
You know, I got to know since I was a year old. I was born in Boston. I was brought up an Irish prize fighter. And I always told him when I was 16 I was going to beat, but I was just going to whip him, that's all. When I was 16 I couldn't quite do it, so I left him. I went to work on the waterfront. And I always said I wanted to do something worthwhile with my life. And I wanted to become a sculptor. And one day when I was 13, I read about this man Baldwin carving a mountain. Well, I'm thinking that about 16 years later I was going to be working as his assistant on Mount Rushmore. And I got a letter from this old Indian I'd never met, standing there. And he asked if I'd build a memorial to their people, so the white people know that their men had great heroes also. Well, having brought myself up, and being American of Polish descent, I thought that it wasn't too much to ask for. And I had no place to go. So I decided to dedicate my life doing this.
Korchak felt both the glory and the tragedy of the Native American were reflected in Crazy Horse's short life and death. His sculpture shows Crazy Horse declaring proudly, "My lands are where my dead lie buried." Crazy Horse was one of the strategists at the Battle of the Little Big Horn. He never signed a treaty and refused to live on a reservation. He was stabbed in the back by a soldier while under a flag of truce. The memorial began very humbly. Korchak lived in a tent the first 7 months. Like a pioneer, he cut trees to build a log studio home. There was nothing here, no roads, water, or electricity. When he started work on the 600-foot-high mountain, Korchak was almost 40 and had only $174 left to his name.
That's how humble I started on the mountain. I started on the side with a single jacket, a hammer and a steel. And I built my holes around 3-4 feet deep and blew them off. Then I brought an old compressor. It was 24 years old, an old Buddha. And I put a pipeline 2,440 feet long from the compressor on the ground up to the top of the mountain. So for the first 7 years, I climbed up 741 steps and I carried everything up on my back. When I go up, I'd start the big compressor. I used to crank it, you know, and then put a 50-pound box of dynamite in one shoulder, and put a wire, a string of bits around my neck. Then I'd take maybe an 8 or 10 or 12, 14-foot steel in my left hand, and that's how I start up the mountain. The old Buddha, the old compressor, was kind of decrepit, and I'd get sometimes quarter of the way up, and I'd just hear that thing go kaput, 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 kaput. Put everything down, walk all the way down the staircase, start up again, crank it up, wait there 5 minutes, start up the mountain, pick everything up, go up to the top, which is quite a distance, put all my things down, get my air valve cleaned out, oil the hammer, pick it up, get my starter steel in it. Just start to drill one hole, get down about a foot, and you can hear the big Buddha kaput, kaput, kaput. Down I'd go again. One day I did that 9 times. You know, that gets awful old. Oh, I tell you, that walk up and down there is terrible.
Korchak worked alone for years, but mountain goats kept him company. The goats loved the staircase, and they climbed it right along with Korchak. They've never left in spite of the decades of blasting. The old Buddha symbolized the severe financial hardship, but there also was joy. Korchak married Ruth Ross, and they began their family of 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. Korchak even delivered one of them. There were so many kids in school at one time, they attended their own one-room school at Crazy Horse. They also learned by helping their parents in rather unusual ways.
Well, see now, you see why we had 10 children. They were all, the boys were necessary up on the mountain, and the girls were necessary down here to help mother with the visitors. That was rather hard work to keep on pounding that dynamite in.
The first blast took off only 10 tons. It was at the June 3rd, 1948 dedication, attended by 5 survivors of the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Comparing then and now shows the dramatic change. The first rock removed was from the area in red, in front of Crazy Horse's face. It took Korchak 5 years working alone. Next, he leveled this area in red above the arm, which will be more than 200 feet long. Cutting the tunnel under the arm was the hardest part. It took more than a decade to remove this area. It's in front of the horse's head, which will be 219 feet high. For size perspective, picture Mount Rushmore, where these marvelous heads are 60 feet high. All 4 heads on Rushmore combined would fit in just Crazy Horse's head, which is almost 9 stories tall. This huge bulldozer gives another size perspective. On the other side, one bulldozer did fly off the edge, but the lucky driver leaped to safety, just in the nick of time.
I was bulldozing on the back side on one of the roads that we were building, and my dad was bulldozing down on the ramp lower, and the brakes went out of the cab, and I went off that edge, went over my dad, and the cat went all the way to the bottom, or the top of the mud pile. And I bailed out, and I went about 70 feet or so, I suppose, and my dad probably thought I was dead, but he turned around and looked, and there I was, dusting myself off. I landed in the only soft pile of dirt in the mountain. And once he realized I was alive, he said, "You got it in there? You get it out." And we're still using that cat today.
Crazy Horse is the largest sculpture in the world, on a scale higher than the Washington Monument or the tallest Egyptian pyramid. Overall, the Crazy Horse Colossus will be 563 feet high and 641 feet long. The work on the mountain is done by one of the top explosives engineering teams in the country. They use small jackhammers and big hydraulic drills and a variety of high explosives. One of the finishing tools is a dangerous supersonic torch. Following completion of Crazy Horse's face, work began on the massive horse's head. It'll be 22 stories high. The ears will be 42 feet long, the nostrils more than 30 feet in diameter. All the progress is guided by Korczak's scale models and books of measurements he prepared for that purpose. 18 years younger than her husband, Ruth Zhilkowski has directed the project since Korczak's death. 7 of their sons and daughters work with her in a dynamic team effort.
It was always a dream because it was the reason we started the scholarship fund in '78. It was just one of the 3 missions of the Crazy Horse Memorial: to carve the mountain, to build the museum, and to create the Indian University of North America and the Medical Training Center. It's been there from as long as I can remember. It was just a part of it from the very beginning. And now with the university, it will grow each year, little by little. When you're responsible for people's lives, you've got to have the wherewithal to see more than just next year or the year after. You have to know that you have the finances to keep up with it and not have to quit. Our goal is to go to a 4-year degree granting college, but we have to know how we're going to pay for it every year.
During my time here in the summer at Crazy Horse, I've learned many things about myself. The thing I'm most proud of is I have learned that I truly and honestly believe I belong in college and I'm going to succeed.
One thing I discovered about myself is that I accomplished something that I never thought I could have. I'm making a positive change for myself and becoming the best role model I could ever be for my siblings.
The visiting public also plays a key role because all the revenue for the nonprofit memorial comes from admissions, contributions, and gift sales.
The financial philosophy here at Crazy Horse has remained the same over all the years. Korczak believed in individual initiative and private enterprise. He didn't think that you had to stand around with your hand out waiting for the government to finance a project. This project has been financed entirely by people coming in here and with their contributions and admissions. And it is not a federal or state project. It will not be. Each one of the youngsters has a niche that they fill, a job that he or she does, and they can use their individual talents, and it's truly a family project. And it's wonderful to see them taking over so that you know there's continuity into the future. Anne is missed by all of us, and she loved the museum, loved the Indian people, took care of the gift shop, and she was always busy with people or guests or doing something out there to redesign or make a new display.
Dad made it special, Dad and Mom made it special, and it's just that it's a dream, and it's a dream that can become reality. I guess I see myself as a caretaker of their things, you know, just Dad always said that if you took care of their things, then they would take care of you. Adam's Adam. He's just amazing. Was the first one up in the morning with Korczak. He worked with him all day long. He was the last one at night. Korczak always took Adam with him wherever he went. And these days he still is always working, doing something. He'll help anybody do anything. Jadwiga is the executive vice president of the foundation. She also runs the restaurant.
It's one of Dad's greatest things was that education is the one thing that will get us further down the road, no matter who we are or what we're going into.
And Crazy Horse has a purpose and it has a reason. And it has a definite influence on people and how they can view the world and how they can view what they think of themselves, and a wonderful culture that we have, that we get to work with the Native American and the Indian people.
Casimir works on the mountain and he's the one who flew the cat off the backside, and everybody loves that story.
To me, it's the only job that I want to do for the rest of my life.
he left us a letter that he wrote in 1952, and we never saw it until after he died. And he said in that letter that you don't have to do this, but if, after I'm gone, you take up the task of doing it, don't ever let it go.
The forehead, for instance, was blasted 2 grade. And if you can blast 2 grade, you're pretty good at what you do. The vibration level, that's our main concern, never exceeds 3 inches per second. And I think the standard for the world is 8 inches and above. We're 3 inches. It takes dedication, it takes pride.
Monique is here all the time. She's on the Crazy Horse Memorial Foundation board. She's the mountain carving advisor on the mountain. She works with the maintenance and construction crew. She's the liaison for the museum, and she runs the gift shop.
I think it was born in us, the ones that chose to stay. I think, I don't know about the others, but I'm assuming they feel the same way, that I don't belong anyplace else. I like to go on a visit, but I belong here.
Right now, the crew is working on the 360 level, and that's 360 feet from the top of Crazy Horse's head down. And that's below the horse's nose. And that's where we're going to stop carving for now and really concentrate on Crazy Horse's hand on the front and back in round. Road access is a huge consideration, because right now where Crazy Horse's hand sits in the mountain, you're just 7 feet from finished grade here. That means how much rock you have to take off of. You're 4 feet on the back side of his hand. And so you've got to be able to get your pieces of equipment up there. Dad always said, don't take off any rock that you want to use to stand on later. And so what we'll do is carefully remove this rock, making sure that as we carve down, we can still stand on it and use it for our platforms.
Always at the heart of the memorial is Crazy Horse himself. He is a hero to many people, like Olympic gold medalist Billy Mills.
Crazy Horse is my hero for many, many reasons. I'm a member of the tribe, Ogallala Lakota. Crazy Horse is Ogallala Lakota. And growing up, we'd hear about Crazy Horse. Just the simple fact when he is asked, where are your lands now, Crazy Horse? And he points and says, my land is where my people lie buried. I've identified with that. The memorial to me represents actually one of our greatest values, one of the greatest traits we can have as Lakota people, and that's storytelling. It represents the past. I look upon myself as a Native person as a spiritual being living a human experience. And the monument, Crazy Horse, represents the past, it represents the present, and it represents the future. It's, as Korshak has said so many times, storytelling in stone.
My lands are where my dead lie buried. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful?
I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller in stone. When standing there asked me to tell the story of that great chief who was killed many years ago, I want to tell the story of the North American Indian. I want to right a little of the wrong that they did to these people, because this is part of American history. You know, there's an old saying, and I've quoted it 2 or 3 times in my life, and it goes like this: when the legends die, the dreams end. And when the dreams end, there is no more greatness.
back in 1949, Korczak made the decision that only private money would finance this tribute to the original people of our country. Korczak would often recite Chief Red Cloud's tragic quote when he said, "They made us many promises, but they kept only one. They promised to take our land, and they did." So in 1949, he formed a nonprofit organization with a board of directors as a governing body, which was categorized by the IRS as a nonprofit 501c3 organization. That status allowed contributions to be tax deductible. Since the beginning, only private monies have supported the progress. Entrance fees, contributions, and estate gifts have made what you see here possible. We thank you for coming, and as I said, your being here helps to make this memorial possible.
As you leave the theater, please exit beside the screen at the front of the theater.
Tell you what, I'm gonna I don't like the black clouds.
BTO to Terry, these folks would like to get on, please.
Lightning will cause us to cut our trip short, so
yeah.
I'm gonna just kind of buzz on up there and we can do a little tour on the way back down.
That's fine. That's fine. I've been trying to talk my wife into coming out here, and I told her about the dancing with the native cultures, and she was all into that.
Yeah.
Finally got her to agree to it. We were supposed to come next month. 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh man.
And she just passed away on Mother's Day.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
We've had to play a little bit with that cancer word too.
Yeah.
My wife had a little bout of breast cancer here a couple years ago. In fact, that's actually what brought us out here, because we were originally hired to work at Mount Rushmore for the summer, and we were living in our RV at the time. And she got diagnosed and went through treatments, and Mount Rushmore was like, "Oh, we'll save your job, no problem, just let us know when you can get here." And we were like a month delayed, and they took and called them up and said, "Well, we'll be out there in a week, ready to come." And they said, "Okay." And 5 minutes later, a little ding on my phone went off. I had an email, and they emailed us. After they talked to us on the phone, they emailed us, said, "Oh, we gave your jobs away, don't bother coming."
Oh.
It's like, well, thank you very much. So then I started looking, and I knew that Crazy Horse had hired some more campers, so I called out here and talked to the HR person, Daniel. He said, "Come on, we got spots for you." And away we came, and we worked 2 summers as seasonal workers, and now we're full-time and living here in Custer, and just bought a house.
Great.
And so far she's been cancer-free.
Fantastic.
So that's the good news.
And my wife had lung cancer.
Oh my. I'll tell you what, that cancer is just awful.
Yeah.
I don't know of hardly any families that haven't been affected by it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that bad.
We thought she had it beat. They removed 1/3 of her right lung. And then I came back on the left side. Then they started aggressive chemo and radiation for that. And thought we had it beat, and I came back again. Then just recently she was diagnosed with brain tumors.
Oh, wow.
She went through 10 treatments of whole brain radiation.
We had my wife's best friend went through that. And that was no picnic.
Yeah. She just completed that. She was supposed to start the chemo again. The doctor wanted to wait 2 weeks, give her time to recuperate from the radiation, and 2 days later she was gone. Oh, that van was full.
Yeah, he had a big group. And we'll start to see the hand up here. They've actually got the hand painted on the side of the mountain with the finger extended, and they are working up here now. They just started a couple months ago, removing the rock from the end of, and you can see they're right down to where the painted line's at.
Yeah.
That's actually to grade. That's where the hand and finger are going to be carved. So that's their next project, is getting that hand and the finger, the details out on it. So it's kind of exciting to see that, because here for the last, well, since 1998, all they've been doing is blasting away rock to narrow the mountain down so they can carve.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to take some noticeable changes, make some noticeable changes on the mountain in the next 5 years even.
Yeah.
So you're from Illinois?
Yes.
Suburb of Chicago?
Suburb of Chicago.
Okay, I thought so. I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay.
Please announce the bus.
All right.
A little haze in, but sometimes that even kind of helps the look of it.
Yeah. I live in a little town called Villa Park.
Okay.
It's right near O'Hare Airport.
Okay. Well, we lived in just a little town outside Indianapolis called Lebanon. Right on Interstate 65. So if you come down Interstate 65 before you get to kind of the last town before you get to Indianapolis is where we were from.
Okay.
Do it.
Love the fog.
Sometimes it gives him a really neat look. I've been up here on really foggy days and it's almost ghostly. This is a large piece of granite that they blasted off the mountain. You can see the grooves where they've drilled down, and that's where they put the explosive and then blasted off.
Wow.
And that's what's left.
Was disappointed to find out the light show's off for tonight.
Yeah, they had the laser lights are liquid cooled, and the liquid cooling unit broke down. And that's what has to be repaired, and the company's in California.
Oh.
There's only 2 of these in the world. 2 laser light shows in the world.
Okay.
So one of them's Stone Mountain, Georgia, and one of them's us. So it's not like you can call the Maytag repairman out to fix it, you know. Now the best way to do this is to walk down to the end of the arm before we turn around to look at his face.
Okay.
That gives you the best profile, or best, most dynamic view, I guess.
Wow.
I thought this was a storm moving in, but I think it's just fog.
Yeah.
Because I was a little worried about lightning, but I think it's just all just fog.
Now this is the arm that we're walking on.
This is the arm. We're actually 6 foot above where they're actually going to be carving it.
Okay.
So when they're ready to carve it, they'll remove 6 foot down to carve and shape it. And that's what they're removing off the hand and the finger now, is that 6 foot. But if you can see off the end here, you'll see the white paint on the right here.
Yeah.
That's actually Crazy Horse's thumb. That piece of equipment that looks like a scaffolding is actually a measuring boom. That's actually mounted on his finger. So it extends out like so. So you can see how close we are to grade on the thumb. So very close to carving.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready. But that's our most famous resident.
Yeah.
When Korchak and the boys couldn't work on the mountain, they actually blasted out rocks down below, and you see that crown-shaped rock in front of us, the dome-shaped one? On the opposite side, he actually blasted in and made his own tomb, and that's where Korchak resides.
Really?
Yeah, he was interred there in 1982 when he passed away. Just outside the tomb, their daughter Anne is buried. She passed away suddenly in 2011 of a sudden heart problem. And then his wife just passed away this last year, and just over a year ago, and she's interred there as well.
Wow. Oh, this fog is really rolling in.
It is, isn't it? There's going to be another blast on Tuesday if you're going to be around.
Yeah.
That's the rumor. I have not heard what time yet.
How do I find out?
I'll give you one of our cards. It's got our phone number on it.
Okay. Oh, I'd love to be here for a blast.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm here through Thursday, so maybe longer.
Well, that's the hot rumor. So, weather permitting, of course.
Oh yeah.
That's why a lot of the blasts anymore they'll do in the morning, 11 o'clock-ish, between 11 and noon. Because usually the storms don't start firing up until afternoon.
Right.
With all the van traffic and all that, sometimes they get a little skittish.
Yeah.
And that gives a nice steady platform for the guys to use the torch with or use different drills. And all it is a basket with an electric winch and a cable. They hang that from the top. It's got the wheels they can raise up and down. And then up on top they'd have to move it from side to side if they wanted to. And obviously that hadn't been used in a while.
Yeah.
Weeks ago. It can be operated remote control, so somebody doesn't even have to be in the cab to operate it. But then the other newest piece of equipment is this measuring boom here that's mounted out on the end of the hand. And that is very similar to what this is here. And what that is a scaffolding up on top. They have a boom that extends behind the head. It swings out. They lower a weighted line from that boom and use it as a plumb bob. And that's exactly what we're going to do here, just a little newer technology than what we used to use.
Great.
So technology is definitely helping us.
Yes.
And it's definitely speeding things up quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't see any goats. But the maintenance building here is where the mountain crew comes to work every morning, and Monday through Friday anyway. And this is where they do all the maintenance on the equipment, and a little break room in there. The mountain better from down below. 'Clear these trees. There's a nice shot of the the side of the arm with the finger pointing.
Okay.
And that piece of equipment there is really used pretty regularly. Usually when they pull the drills and things out and park them around in areas like this, it means they're going to have enough collapse. So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
They still got some equipment down where they've been doing the blasting, but like I say, the hot roofer is Tuesday. Another group going up.
Yeah, it looked like there was only one in that one.
It could have been. Well, you know, we try to accommodate people. We don't want to make them wait, you know. I mean, it's... Sometimes it just works out. You get a private tour.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's like. This little cabin we're coming up on here, when Orchok first arrived, there was a miner that had a mining claim to the backside of the mountain, and that's where he built his house. We're still living there. And by the time Orchok got the deed for all the property, him and the miner become very good friends, and he let him stay. There's some marmots there. See them down there? There's one on the rock right there. Look to your right.
Oh yeah.
Look to your right.
My other right.
He's sunning himself. There's a whole little family there. Oh, there they go in the house. But once him and Korchak become really good friends, he just let him stay. And that miner actually dug the first water wells for the museum and for the Jokovsky family. This operation here, once they blast the rock off the mountain, they push it down to the side and they work it this direction. And they actually crush it up in gravel, and that's what we maintain our roads with. The bigger pieces they use for different building projects they're working on, landscaping and things. And then the pickup trucks are loaded with medium-sized ones, and we bring those up to the museum and let folks take them home with them. I'll show you where you can get you a nice souvenir for Crazy Horse.
I saw.
Did you see him?
Yeah. I didn't want to get one because I knew I was going to go up to the top.
Yep.
So.
There's a little creek that runs down through here. Korchak and the boys, they built those roads. That's how they access the mountain. And their son Kaz told us one day, he's our lead foreman on the mountain now, but he said they were coming down the mountain one day. He'd been out. It was summertime, they'd been up there working all day. And Korchak had the boys riding in the back of his pickup truck. They got down here to this low area, and the road was flooded. And beavers had built dams and dammed up that little creek, and you can kind of see where the dams used to be. There's no beavers anymore, but they dammed up that creek and flooded the road. So Korchak stopped the truck and told the boys, "You get the tools out, go out there and bust up that dam so we can go home." So what they're doing there, he said, "Mom, let's bring people bell up there at the cabin, and she had a big ball-peen hammer. She beat on that bell when she was calling them home. So she was beating on the bell. They were hungry and tired, and they were in a hurry. So they busted up the dam. The road started draining. They threw the tools on the ground, hopped up the back of the truck, and left. Next morning they came back down. The road was all flooded again. The beavers had rebuilt the dam, and sticking out of the dam were all the handles from the tools they'd left the night before. And so Korchak, they said, we knew we were going to get in trouble with Dad. All them handles being ruined on them tools. He said, Korchak just looked at the dam and said, well, if the beavers are going to rebuild their dam with my own tools, they can stay. And Kaz said, well, we didn't get off scot-free. He said we had to dig the ditches along the side here to keep the road from flooding again. He's the one that drove the Caterpillar off the side of the mountain, too.
Okay.
Same guy. There's a good profile shot up here. I'll stop and let you take a look at it if you want to. Horse's head is just painted on with white house paint, just to kind of show you how it's going to be situated on the mountain. And those stripes are actually approximately 3 foot wide. Now, the first time that they ever painted it, Korchak hung off the side of the mountain with a 1-inch rope, had a paint can hooked to his belt, and he's put his wife down about where we're at now, and she called up on a radio to him and told him where to paint at. And he painted the whole memorial inside the mountain. Took 184 gallons of paint to do it that very first time. Of course, the stripes weren't 3 foot wide that time. They were probably about 4 inches, maybe a 4-inch brush.
Okay.
I don't know. On the right's our boneyard. A lot of the old equipment's in there. My son Mark hangs around in there a lot, working on the equipment. He's kind of our chief mechanic. He's also the one burying the conduit. He does a lot of things around here. A lot of that stuff still runs. Some of it is used for parts. Now, when Korchak was working on the mountain, any money that came in to him, donated, all went to the mountain, just like it does today. And the way he supported his wife and 10 kids was he had a small dairy operation here. If you look over, you can see the barns with the red roof.
Yeah.
That's part of the dairy operation. And they took and the girls would predominantly be the ones milking the cows. And of course that was done twice a day. And then the boys, they also had a small lumber mill here, and they would sell the lumber just to make some cash. And Mrs. Jolkowski had chickens up at the cabin. And she told us oftentimes when times were kind of lean, she would gather up eggs, and she would saddle a horse and ride a horse into the town of Custer and sell fresh eggs. She said it wasn't too bad, except in the wintertime she had trouble with the eggs freezing before she could get into town. So she'd put them down her shirt, and she'd get one of Korchak's big heavy winter coats and put that on and get on that horse and ride to town. Hardy woman, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, of the 10 kids, 7 of them stayed here to work through adulthood. Of the other 3 that didn't stay, their oldest son, John, he is just retired from the construction trades, and he has a home that he built just outside of Custer. Their youngest daughter, Marinka, is a very talented artist. She's a painter. She has a home and a studio in Custer where she does her paintings. And then their one son, Joel, he got a calling of a different sort, and he is an ordained pastor, and he has a church in Custer.
Okay.
Now, while they were growing up, it was difficult getting them all to school at different times, so Korchak decided he was going to change all that. He had a one-room schoolhouse moved here on site. That's that white building with the green roof. Yellow sign on the front says Crazy Horse School. He hired a full-time teacher, and that's where the kids went to elementary school.
Okay.
Of course, when they got into the higher grade, they took and went to Custer to high school and things. And of course, they all went to higher education. black gates that are up, we call those the Black Hills Nature Gates.
Yeah.
And those gates were built by Korchak in 1982, the same year that he died. So that was one of the last thing he installed here on site. And each one of those drawings was drawn by one of the children. And those are, he traced them out onto the brass and cut them out, welded up those gates. But all those are animals that are native to the Black Hills, or trees and things that are native to the Black Hills from prehistoric time to today. And they, behind those gates, you'll see the two double doors. Right inside there is the rock box.
Yes.
You get the blast fragment from the mountain.
Yes.
And then on the sidewalk out there, we'll kind of get a little closer look. Let this truck go, maybe. It's a little congested in the parking lot sometimes. But behind the gates there, you'll see the yellow piece of equipment with the two big tanks. That's the old Buddha air compressor.
Okay, I was wondering where that was.
Yeah, so you got to check out Buddha.
Yeah.
He's probably the second most famous face here.
Did you like that? Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, I was taught by my father never, ever to beg. And I'm not about to start to do that today. He said, anything you earn in this world, he said, you earn it and you work hard for it. And that's what we just did. If you are feeling generous and wish to give something to the dancers, if you give it to me, I make sure that my whole family gets something. But you're being invited at this time to come forward and take pictures with us. And we would like to give you this token of our appreciation. Waji, Nupa, Yamani. Thank you.
Alright guys, this is it. One last look at Crazy Horse. May or may not be back Tuesday for the blast. But I want to let you know that I did get a certificate for going all the way up to the top. It's a lifetime membership for free admission. Anyone in the vehicle is admitted for free. I'll be getting a membership card in the mail along with Christmas cards, Valentine cards, all kinds of holiday cards from the family. Alright, on to Rushmore.